because I came from social work and I've been with people who were asking me advice about, does it put you at an advantage to have another degree or what? I was mentoring someone last year who did OT and she got into clinical. So what I think what was important for her to sell to the panel was that why she wants to come out of OT into psychology and how does the two, where do they, and why does she want to leave OT? Honestly, without lying to the panel or what are you lacking from OT that you want from psychology, and how do they relate also with social work? Because for me I felt that social work was more administrative. That's not what I had signed up for. So I wanted to go more into mental health, treating mental health, doing therapy. So, and where do they relate was that the panel could see that I've worked with people. I was able to empathize with people and all that, which means it's a skill they could mold into a psychologist once I get into that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I have an intern clinical psychologist here with me. I'm going to allow her to do the introduction. Ma'am, welcome. And if you can just briefly just introduce yourself and just give us a bit of a background of where you come from and what career path have you been in thus far. Welcome and over to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Lerato Mohale. I am born and raised in between Northwest and Gauteng. I'm based in Mabopane. I did my undergrad at NW, Mafikeng campus in social work, and then I did my honors at Sefako Makhado University. And then after that, I took a gap and then I did master's in clinical psychology at EDHE. I'm currently doing my internship at one military hospital.
Super, awesome. Lerato, at least I think the advantage I have of this interview that I know you, at least some of your part of your career path. Maybe let me get to the point so that I can get the opportunity to speak about the master's. Briefly, what led you to choose social work as a career?
Okay, so what happened is when I was in high school, I was doing the science stream. Everything else was fine except for maths and physical sciences, which were my major subject. And at the time, I knew I didn't like them. I didn't want to continue in that field. I knew I liked working with people. So when I applied for universities, I looked into careers that focused on working with people, which at my disposal was psychology, social work, and then law as my third option. So what I did, I applied for psychology as my first option and then social work as my second. I got accepted for psychology. So I did my first year in psychology. That's what I wanted. But during my first year, I found out that for you to become a qualified practicing psychologist, you actually do your honors and your masters. So I made a decision that, you know what, because I was majoring in two majors, both psychology and social work, what I did, I switched to social work because that after that I could work and then I could still continue with psychology afterwards. So I did exactly that. But then after my fourth year in social, I went straight to do honors. And then after that, I was keeping on applying for masters until I got in. Yeah.
Okay. So you choosing social worker basically was still a path for you to get into psychology?
Yes.
Okay, super then. Because when I met you, I think you were done with internship or doing internship, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But then you then applied to be accepted to clinical psychology, of which you got accepted.
Yes.
The question I have then is, there's a clinical, there's counseling, there's educational, there's research, there's industrial. Why did you choose clinical? Somebody would have thought maybe counseling is more like social work. You would have enjoyed it. Why did you go for clinical? Is it the only one that you applied for? Maybe that's the question I need to ask for as well.
Clinical was the only one I've been applying for when I was applying. But honestly, I did not have an academic or professional reason why I was choosing clinical. When I was doing my honors, like my whole class was arguing that clinical is better than others. Even today, I do not know how. It was just like peer pressure. Even today, I can't tell clinical over counseling, especially because I've never been in counseling. I think I would have maybe tried educational, but because at the time you couldn't apply for educational if you did not have a background of education, so I never thought of that. So clinical was just the hype. That's
Look, it's still the hype even today.
Yes. Yeah.
It's still the hype even today. And now take me through the reason I requested an interview with you. Our friends here on YouTube, people out there, they applied now to be accepted into masters and honors.
Yes.
And I believe you have got experience because you got accepted into the most difficult category to be accepted in, which is clinical. And I believe what you will share will be applicable to any person applying even for honors, particularly where there's selection process. Can you just briefly take us through how was the selection process? You know, wherever you want to start, I will ask questions as you go along, but I just want you to take us through. You got that letter that you were invited for interview, and what happened from then on?
Okay. So I'll be giving my experience based on, because I got accepted at SMU and UKZN. I think this also will help because it was two different processes. So I'll start with SMU.
Sorry, Lerato. You got accepted at both KZN and SMU for clinical?
Yes.
Wow. You are too much blessed.
Yeah, that was...
People can't even get accepted into one.
Yeah. At the time when it happened, I said it means I'm ready because I've been trying and been getting rejected. Then it means at that time I was ready to get accepted.
Okay. Sorry, briefly, before then, you get into how you were selected. Okay, maybe share with us, because the second question I want to ask you, is there a particular thing, maybe whether your qualification in social work or certain aspect that you think maybe contributed to you being accepted in both? I want to ask that as a follow-up, because I'm suspecting the fact that you are a social worker as well maybe played a role. It's just my assumption. But share with us what happened at SMU.
Okay. So with SMU, you get shortlisted after the first paper selection. And then I've heard that the selection process has changed. But during my time, what happened, because it was during COVID, the selection process was online. So the first selection activity was a group activity. We were invited into a link, an online meeting link. I think we were 8. And then we would be given a topic. It's usually on current. For instance, now, if it was still then, they would probably bring a topic of Besta and Nandi.
Besta, yes.
Yes, they would do something like that.
That's so predictable.
Yes. So at the time, it was mostly COVID-19, how it was impacting people and what is our role as psychologists. So we would discuss that within the group setting. What I think, I don't know what they are looking for, honestly, in selections. I do not know. But with my experience, what I saw, the people who made it versus the people who did not make it, was that you need to guard against talking much. You need to guard against dominating other members, but also you need to be assertive. You need to own your space and say, hey, this is time for me to speak, and do it. And also you need to acknowledge other people's opinions. You could say, as Lerato has said this, my opinion is to show that you were listening, then whether you agree not agree with what they are saying. Don't be too personal, don't be too self-centered. That's what I would say was happening in the group. And then the second round of that same group, we were reflecting our experience of that group process. So we would give reflections like, how was it for you? I remember the reflection was about how I felt that I didn't speak as much as other members did because other members can talk. So I didn't speak as much. I reflected on that. And I remember that they asked, because I reflected that I felt I didn't talk a lot. They asked me about a member who spoke a lot and asked me what about them. That was awkward.
So by that time when you are reflecting, is it still the 8 of you or is it individual?
It's still the 8 of us.
The 8 of you?
Yes.
Okay. So what are they asking about the member who was speaking more than everybody else?
Well, I remember I reflected that I felt that I didn't do as much as other members. And then the question was posed back to me that, Lerato, since you are saying you felt this way, what do you think about Mama? So I also had to reflect on that. And I had to be strategic because now I couldn't label her as somebody who was... Yes. So I had to be very strategic on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested. What did you say? You still remember?
But what I said was that the way I observed her, she was very passionate about what she was talking about. Hence, she ended up sharing a lot. So it was passion that fueled her speaking that much.
Guys, listen, when we talk too much, it's passion. I thought we said the member must learn not to be talkative. It's not one opportunity to be selected.
And once I got into when we were doing M1, because SMU is 2 years, as we were doing, I saw the importance of that activity because now they observe during the learning process, role plays, they would ask you to give a classmate feedback to say, what can you give feedback to this person? So you also need to give feedback in a way that is also sensitive. So if you give him feedback that is very impactful in the group, it will tell us that you will impact other learners in the class.
And this member who was, I'll say talkative for lack of better word, was the person selected?
No, she didn't make it.
Sorry. Next time.
Yeah.
I hope she watches the interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, look, you know what? I think you are right. I totally agree with you. One needs to be sensitive, and I don't think anything that you said either affected negatively or positively. I think at the end of the day, it was the decision of the panel members. And I like what we said initially, that you don't know what they wanted, because I think it's a bit tricky. I was actually discussing with somebody that, one wonder if there's even a rubric that is used for the selection, because somebody showed me something that made me concerned. But thank you for sharing that. So you had the first meeting, they gave you a topic. I hope people are listening. Prepare a topic about Besta. You never know. Maybe Besta will be the topic. And then they ask you to reflect. The reflection is one of the most critical aspects of psychology.
Yes.
Then after that, what are the next steps?
The next one. So after that, they would shortlist the next group that's going to the next round. So what we did in the round was role plays. So how SMU was doing it, please keep note that apparently they've changed. I don't know how they do it now. So what they did was, I think we were in groups of 6 at that time. So we in front the whole panel this time. With the first group, we would just have 2 panel members each. So in the group of 6, we are all going to play the role of being a therapist, a patient or a client, and then an observer. And what was very tricky was that you wouldn't know when you are the observer. So if you are in your own mind, stressed, thinking about other things, and then they would ask you to reflect on what happened and you were not paying attention. So what would happen, they would choose 2 members and say maybe Lerato will be the therapist and Mama will be the patient. And after that, they would pick one from the 4 that were left to reflect on what was happening. And then we would all rotate like that. You would swap roles. So yeah, and people who did not make it, what I saw they did was that there was somebody who reflected on what the therapist could have done, like maybe the postures, the questions that were asked, how there was, and all that. And the panel would say that, no, we are not asking you to correct them. We are asking you what you observed. So with the role play, to guard against being a know-it-all, just speak what you observed. What you observed is that maybe the patient seemed anxious, maybe the way you had them speak, maybe they were stuttering, or maybe they were shaking. So what you observed, not what you think could have been done.
Should have been done.
Yes.
No, thank you. I think that is very informative and helpful, because I think one can easily want to correct what a person has done instead of just stating your observation.
Yes.
Okay, so how many people, department members, were part of those particular panel, the first one and the second one?
With the first one of the group, because we are a lot, it's the first round. There's only 2 panel members per group.
Okay.
Group, yeah. And then with the second one, we do it in front of the whole panel. Yeah.
How many are the whole panel?
Yo, SMU, there are quite probably 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like if they are observing the trial of Thabo Bester.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was live. It was not virtual or anything.
It was virtual. This one. Oh, actually, the one I gave, it was for the time when I didn't make it the year before.
Okay.
We're doing contact interviews. Yeah.
Also, you applied before at SMU and you didn't make it, and you came back again.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe let's touch on that. Before we touch on that, what was the next step after the role play? What then happened?
After the role play, they will shortlist again. And then we did, or maybe, I don't remember if we do the research activity after the shortlisting or not. But there's a research activity that we did. They would give you a very difficult article, and you would have to write an abstract and a conclusion from that article.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's after the role play.
Yes, after the role play.
And was that the final activity you've done?
No. After that one, we do the individual interview. Okay.
So yeah, let's focus on the individual interview. How's that? What's the focus?
Yeah, individual interviews are it. They are provoking. Everybody's there. Everybody's serious. Like
sure.
Now I'm looking at you alone, because for the first time since the process, you get to see them alone.
And then with the individual, are they still 10 panel members?
Yes, or maybe more.
Wow.
I don't know if there was 10 or more than that, but all of them are there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what did they ask? What do they wanted from you?
Individual interviews. Right now, I'm actually reflecting on the contact one, which I think it's best I do that because it was different from the online one.
With the contact was the first one.
Yes, when I did it. With the online one, I think it was less anxiety provoking because it was online. You see, there's distance. But with the contact one, yes, you go in front of them. You are the main person at the time. I can't remember all the questions. It's tell us about yourself. It's the first one, of course.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself. With tell us about yourself, I personally focused on my academic journey. They are not interested that I am.
You've got a cat or a dog
and all that. I just focused on my academic journey. And what I remember was a question that can get a person off guard was maybe also they would ask your experience in the field of psychology or with working with people, it's important. And also they would ask maybe a modality that you would prefer. And they would probably ask the question about African epistemology, because SMU is big on African epistemology. So if you don't know anything about African epistemology, that is where you die. So you go there knowing something about it, what you know about it, what you understand about it. They'll probably ask also about the research, your area of interest. So my experience was with the individual interview, it's mostly your application. It's sort of like going through your application, your motivation, your research interests, your experiences and all that. Yeah.
Okay. No, super. Thank you for that. And I think also UNISA might be on that African epistemology. I think your HOD actually come from there. So that's where all the things are coming from. So if you're going to UNISA SMU, be careful of this.
Also UKZ.
Also UKZN. Wow. And then was that the last activity?
Yes, that was the last one.
Okay. And do you by any chance know how many people invited for the interviews?
For the interviews, the first round, SMU is generous, or it used to be, I'm not sure how, but they would invite a lot. It would probably be 100 and something for the first. Yeah, SMU is generous. And then after the group, you would reduce to about 50 something, 30 something, and then it would reduce as they go through the days.
So how long was the process of the whole selection week?
It's usually 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
Okay, we know that you were selected. Let's move to UKZN.
Okay. UKZN had such a nice process. I enjoyed the whole process. So with UKZN,
you are the first person who enjoyed the selection process I've met.
To other people. What happened to other people?
Nobody ever enjoyed the selection process. They are happy to be selected.
Oh, was it because it was online? But I really enjoyed the process of UKZN. It was non-threatening. It was chilled. I loved it. Also, NMMU had a very nice process, but I won't get into that. Okay, so with UK... Did
you go to NMMU as well?
Yes, online. We also did online. It was very nice. Yeah.
Is it? Okay, let's do this one. Maybe there's something interesting they will tell us.
Okay.
We want to get a bite of everything.
You know? Yeah. So UKZN, our first activity was a group activity as well. So what happened was we would be sent a group link, and then we were probably 6 or 8 in the group. And then what happened was everyone would be given a different topic to discuss on the spot within 3 minutes, I think. So they would say, Lerato, here's your topic. I remember my topic was about elderly people's access to psychological services. I didn't even know what to think or say. So you just ramble around, you say whatever. And I remember I had Wi-Fi issues, so I literally spoke for about a minute out of 3 minutes. So everybody will discuss their own topic. So with UKZ, and that shows you that you need to know as much as you can, because you can get any topic at all. You need to be able to discuss something. Then after that one, we went to another group activity where we watched a YouTube video. I think we were 8 in that group. We all watched a YouTube video, and after that we had a discussion. It was almost similar as SMU. We just discussed what was happening in the video. What I think helped me, I don't know. But
so what is the YouTube video about?
So that YouTube video, it had children, something about parenting.
Okay.
Children's development. I think something, it was it was not really psychology based video. It was just, yeah.
No problem, no problem. And then you said what helped you?
What I think helped me was also, I didn't speak a lot. Maybe I look like I speak a lot here, but in groups I'm a different person. So what I think helped
you were strategic. Yeah. I won't answer the question we're asking, but I think you were strategic.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I tell people the same, because the more you speak, there's a saying, a fish dies by an open mouth. The more you speak, the more you expose yourself.
Of course, yes.
So if you keep quiet, nobody knows what you don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember
what helped you?
What I think helped me was because I didn't speak a lot. And also after the group, I was reflecting that I don't know the outcome of that activity because I didn't speak a lot. But I remember because there were children, I saw parents there. I spoke just a bit about Erickson because I didn't want to overdo it. So a bit of Erickson there, so that I'm able to connect a theory to whatever I'm observing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And after that one, we had 2 individual interviews. So what they did was, I think it was because it was online, they wanted to have ratings from 2 different people. So you'd have the same interview, but with 2 different people separate. Also with UKZ, and the individual interviews were mainly just going through your whole application. Tell us about yourself, your experiences, your interest in psychology. And very important, UKZN takes the research part very serious. I had to go through the research proposal I had written. I had to go through all of it. And they would ask questions as well. So whatever you write when you apply, you must be sure of what you're doing. You need to motivate. Why did you qualitative over quantitative, all of that? Why is your research question like this? Why is your objective like that? So they take it very serious. And they also had a question about African epistemology. Theirs was very specific, and they actually want to know if you are their person, because if you are, what can I say? Okay, I was thinking of if you are of a specific modality that does not really align with them, it won't work for them. So they really need to understand that you know what African epistemology is. You will gel well with them when they say we approach a patient from an African perspective. Yeah, so the question was very specific about that. Yeah.
Okay, so you had 3 rounds, if I include the 2 individual. Was there anything else after that?
No, there wasn't. That's only.
Anything to take from NMU?
NMU had a short process. The first one was a role play, which was challenging, but it was non-threatening. You would meet your patient online, and it was a registered counselor, so they were trained. They know how to treat you and all that. And you would have an interview as a therapist. You interview that patient. And after that, you would have one long individual interview with the panel. Very relaxed, a conversation. I felt like I was in a conversation, so it was very nice. It wasn't threatening at all.
No, look, I mean, I think the goal should be that interview should not be, the aim is not to threaten you. The aim is to get to know you in order to make a decision.
Yes.
No, Lerato, thank you so much. A few questions. You have applied, you were not selected before, and then you applied again. What was going on in your mind when you were not selected initially? Because the reality is that there are people who are going to go now but are going to be selected, and there are people now who are also coming back again who are not selected. What was going on in your mind at that point, and what motivated you to come back and say, let me try it again?
What was on my mind, I was questioning what I was doing wrong. But because you have a full year to reflect, you still have personality.
I like that. you got the full year to reflect.
As you go on, with me, I realized I did not know myself. Because at the time when I went for the interviews for the last time, I could see that the manner in which I approached certain questions had completely evolved from the first time. I was more an academic person. I was rational. I was not in touch with my emotions, with reflecting how experiences made me feel, which is very important when you go into psychology. So I lacked that part. And when I went in the second time, I could see that, okay, that part of me had developed. So I saw the reason they were rejecting me was because I was a rational person, but I was not in touch with my emotions and experiences.
So it's more holistic maturity, so to say, emotional maturity, self-awareness, and all that. Okay. And any words of encouragement for those who are going back for the second time? What should be maybe tips that we can give them? Maybe somebody has been rejected before, is coming back for the second time. What can we encourage them? And even those who are going for the first time, where they are shaking, they heard about these 10 panel members. What words of encouragement can you give them?
Okay, for the first timers, I think it's best to take it as building onto experience. The first time you go and then you feel what it's like to be in front of 10 panel members. The second time, let's say you go to the first university and then you get that experience. When you go to the second university and then you know what it's like. So I think you have built some confidence in that. So you can just take it as building onto experience that you will need for the final touch. Others make it the first time. It means their personal development at a much higher level. We don't develop at the same rate. And with those who are going for the second, third time and all of that, I think it's very important to take feedback from your environment, because there are certain things that people around us tell us that can actually help to prepare us to get selected. If they tell you that you are impatient, or they tell you that you have an attitude or what, sometimes it plays out in the group and you are not even aware of that, and then you get rejected. So it's very important to develop self-awareness, to say, but I'm like this. When I look at myself in the mirror, I can actually see that I'm like this, and other people have told me that I'm actually like that. So your defense back and work on yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the most crucial part, that if you go with that mentality that even if I'm not selected, it's a learning curve that I can actually use that knowledge for next time I go back again. Although you go with the mentality that I want to be selected, and focus on your maturity. Now you are busy with the internship. How is it going so far? And why are you doing it?
I'm doing my internship at 1 mil. Internship for me is fine, because this is the time for internship applications. I remember last year everybody was telling us about how internship will move us. Internship is not child's play and all that. But so far, I'm still fine. 1 mil is a very supportive environment. I have a very supportive supervisor, which I feel is very important, regardless of how hard the institution can be. If you have a very supportive, empathic supervisor, I think you've won the lottery, honestly. So I'm okay. I've been in the psychiatry rotation. It's 6 months. I've been learning a lot. I look forward to what rounds. Psychiatry what rounds are the best. You are in. You see, oh, this is bipolar. This is schizophrenia. You see them be like, okay. So yeah, there's always something new to learn. You'll always have something to laugh about. They take your depression out. Psychiatry rotation is the best. And also, because we still work with outpatients, you get the best of both, working both in the psychiatry wards and with outpatients. You're still doing assessment, you're still seeing children. So it's not boring. You still have the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put on the spot. I get a complaint from psychology students. They tell me they don't get paid well for the internship. Would you mind sharing what do you guys get paid for internship?
Yeah, I wish maybe we could have had this intern maybe in August. I would have known, because unfortunately I don't even know how much I'm earning. There has been some administrative issues, so
Yeah.
I've never really gotten a salary that I knew, oh, this is how much I'm earning. It's been fluctuating. It's been, yeah, I don't know how much I'm earning, honestly. But on the offer letter, it said something like 605,000, I think, per annum.
Okay, 600 per annum is a lot of money per
It
month
it is a lot of money, yeah.
for internship. Yeah, because I think most they tell me that they get about somebody called me, they were getting about 8,000 or 6,000 per month, which means you guys make you the highest paid interns.
So in category
In psychology.
well, I know that interns in the Department of Health. Yeah, let me maybe punctuate from the interns in the Department of Health. Okay, should I even say this? Now parents will be demanding money from interns.
No. Let's stop it there. I think keep it there.
Yeah.
They get the gist. They get the gist. Look, thank you so much. We are at okay. Time is still on our side. Any last thing that you feel like I might have left it out that you want to share with anybody who might be going for that selection? Any student who want to follow psychology? I hear a lot of people saying psychology is useless. I can't do this thing, but you kept pushing. Any word of encouragement for those people?
Hey, yeah, psychology. I personally feel like if you want to pursue psychology, maybe have a backup plan, because people find themselves depressed because they not get into masters. So some feel that they are stuck with an honors. What must they do? Because they are not really employable. When you get employment, it's like an administrative job and you've done an honors, so it's not worth it. So maybe have a backup plan. Also look into being a registered counselor. I also look into doing the psychometry course, because I've seen people who've done the psychometry course that they stand a better chance to get selected for the masters, because already they know assessments. And another thing is, because I came from social work and I've been with people who were asking me advice about does it put you at an advantage to have another degree or what? I was mentoring someone last year who did OT and she got into clinical. So what I think what was important for her to sell to the panel was that why she wants to come out of OT into psychology, and how does the two, where do they, and why does she want to leave OT? Honestly, without lying to the panel or what are you lacking from OT that you want from psychology, and how do they relate also with social work? Because for me I felt that social work was more administrative. That's not what I had signed up for. So I wanted to go more into mental health, treating mental health, doing therapy. So, and where do they relate was that the panel could see that I've worked with people. I was able to empathize with people and all that, which means it's a skill they could mold into a psychologist once I get into that. So also being from another profession can be an advantage or a disadvantage, because if you come in from social work but you don't have a valid reason why you want to go into psychology, then they are going to reject you, because to begin with, psychology was not even your first option.
Lerato Mohale, thank you so much, ma'am. I know you've got a very busy day, so let me not hold you. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the day. I think what we shared is very informative, and many will learn from it. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.